Let's go back to the conversation we're meant to have with Victor Kgomoeswana. And for some context, we know that it's crucial that people do maintain social distancing at this time to avoid a second wave of infections. And that is likely to be a whole lot harder as we move into lockdown level 1. Now, media commentator Victor Kgomoeswana joins me back now for this conversation around social distancing. But he also says for it to be a success, making mobile data available and affordable is quite critical. Thank you so much for your patience and staying with us there. Apologies for that technical error. But I want to go back to that initial question I had asked you. Now, of course, you did, mention in your article, if I could just subquote you here, that, in as much as social distancing will be an integral part of our new normal data, mobile data that is, it is the fuel. We need to have a cost-effective, in a sense of a more reliable and affordable data. But why are we having this conversation now? Because we've been calling for this to happen even before the pandemic.
That's exactly the question. Why are we still talking about data falling? We have been 7 months or so into the lockdown, but we've had COVID for 7 months plus. I saw an article, a report by a company in the UK, Tumelo, called Cable UK, and it was comparing the cost of 1 gigabyte of mobile data in about 220 countries. And South Africa was ranked 148. So 220 or so countries, South Africa comes 148th. And the problem is, in Africa, the top country, in other words, the cheapest place today to buy mobile data is Somalia. For goodness sake, Somalia has had no government for more than 20 years. They are only trying to rebuild the country even as we speak. How do they manage to appreciate that data must cost a whole lot less than South Africa? You can look at the other countries, Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi. They're in the top 5 countries in Africa. But South Africa to be at 148 of 22 countries of the world is scandalous.
No, it is indeed. But also at the center here are ordinary South Africans who are directly impacted. And I'd like you just to please paint us a picture here of how affected South Africans are by this decision, because we constantly hear, from government, from businesses, download this app, get this information on your fingertips. But how feasible is that for the majority of South Africans?
It is not, because South Africa already is not a rich country. In other words, the majority of South Africans are poor, so they struggle. But because data is so important, their children cannot attend lessons. Tumelo, you heard about this for a long time. The teachers are not able to go to school because we are trying to avoid the spread. There are some teachers with comorbidities. So imagine if all 440 or so, because we have about 440,000 teachers in South Africa in public school, can we imagine if all of them could afford that data so that they could offer lessons to their children? Can we imagine if the millions of children who are in schools did not have to worry about being able to afford this data, to be able to do that? You all know about the public servants as well, who have been asked to work from home, but so that they can deliver services. That's another angle. How about people being able to report cases at police stations using this data? How about telemedicine, Tumelo, where you are able to have a medical specialist in the US or in the UK or in Nigeria, wherever it is, being able to connect with someone via mobile data to deliver the diagnosis, that you don't need to touch the patient to be able to conduct. So all these things are the reasons that I'm saying, if we appreciate that we did the right thing by locking down, why do we not appreciate that if you lock people up, you need to give them the means to be able to transact in the new normal?
Your piece further emphasizes the delay in digital migration and how South Africa has lagged behind, from the rest of the world around this conversation on digital migration. Before I let you go, anytime soon, can we expect government to expedite digital migration as well as data costs coming down, do you think?
Well, this digital migration, if you're talking about television transmission, we missed the deadline. That was 2015. Again, the countries in Africa that got ahead of us was Tanzania, Kenya, and Rwanda. So I do not know. I cannot speak for this government anymore, because you think you understand. You think you have leaders who appreciate what's at stake, and then they do something totally opposite to what we expect them to do.
I think that's where we'll leave it. Thank you so much, Victor Kgomoeswana, for joining us.